What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today what I want to talk about is a drop shot. I want to break down how to tie a drop shot, some tips and tricks about how to rig a drop shot, and some of the more advanced ways that I rig a drop shot worm. So a drop shot is great this winter, so you guys are not going to want to miss this video. So to help show you how to tie a drop shot, I'm going to use this Cortland Master braid in a high vis yellow. I don't normally rig a drop shot on braid, but it's just going to be easier for you guys to see. And so the knot that you tie to make a drop shot, or at least that I tie, is a Palomar knot with a little twist. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to take our braided line and we're going to run it through the eye of our hook, right? Whatever drop shot hook you happen to be using. I highly recommend a TK150 by Trocar, but that's just me. So you run it down through the eye of your hook. Now what you're going to do is you're going to run it back up through. And you might just be asking, why didn't I just kink it and double it over? And for that exact reason. If you double it over to put your hook on there, you kink your line right here and it weakens your knot. So that's why I do that. The next is I lengthen this a little bit because this doubled over line is what's going to make your leader for your drop shot, or for like to your weight. So you have it, have your drop shot hook on there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this overhand, or this doubled over line, and make an overhand knot. Just like that. So you can see all I did was make an overhand knot with that. Now what I want you to notice is I'm going to take my finger and put my finger in this knot, because that's going to help keep everything where it needs to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this doubled over piece of line that is on top of my overhand knot, and I'm going to run my hook through it. I'm going to run everything through it. Okay? Just like so. And then keeping my finger in that knot, I'm going to pull it tight for the most part, and you'll see that makes this knot up above it. And so what I'm going to do now is you wet it, you pull it tight, and what most often happens is you have to adjust that knot to make sure that it stays on top of the hook. So that is basically it, but to make sure that your drop shot runs right, what you want to do is you want to take your tag end that came off the back end of it and run it down through the eye. Because what that's going to do is that's going to make your drop shot hook stick out, and that's going to help you actually hook more fish and keep your drop shot the way you want it to be rigged. So now I want to talk a little bit about the weights that you use for a drop shot. This is where I'm going to get into the tips and tricks method. Now a lot of people complain that they have fish throw the drop shot weight off, which kind of sucks because if you're using tungsten ones like this one, it can be really expensive. So what I like to do is I like to take this pair of pliers or scissors or whatever you have handy, and I actually open up this loop. You can see I have this one already opened up. You can use the front part of scissors, the front part of pliers, and all I do is bend this so you can see that's opened up, because then what I'm going to do is I basically just take my tag end that's the bottom of my drop shot, run it through, and I basically just tie a weak clinch knot with it. So I just do like a 4-turn clinch knot, or whatever knot you want to do, because then it's a weak knot, it's not super strong, it's definitely weaker than where my hook is, so it'll still break off right there if I get it caught on anything, but now it won't get flung off when those fish are up shaking and throwing it. It won't get flung off as often. How about that? And so you'll go through less drop shot weights. So now what I want to talk about is how to actually rig a drop shot worm on your drop shot, because there's a bunch of different ways that you can actually rig it, but they make a big difference. And so one of the most common ways that you can rig it is just straight through the nose, right? But what you have with that is you see this worm kind of falls all over the place and goes wherever you want. And you also have the opportunity that fish can eat it, and like, now you're going to lose those fish. But a way that I like to nose rig it by keeping it still weedless is I come from behind the nose. You can see right there I come from behind and then rig that forward to where that hook just about penetrates the nose. Just like that. So you can see now it doesn't flop around the hook as much, and when it's in the water it'll stay on top a little bit better. But that's one way that I like to rig it. The other way you can rig it, this is a way I learned from watching Aaron Martin's, is he actually takes and rigs it about 1/3 of the way back, and you just put it through on the edge, kind of like this, because now when you shake it, it darts around in circles. It kind of like hops around in circles. It makes it look like a dying bait fish. So just like that. And one of my other favorite ways to rig it is straight wacky rigged, like so. So now you can just rig it like that. And this is probably one of the most underrated ways that I've seen, that I don't see guys rig it very often, especially if I'm fishing it around cover where I can pitch it, because then you get that wacky rig fall where you can sit there and shake it, and then you get this motion where you can sit there and undulate that bait. Because a drop shot, you can hold it in one spot and literally just shake it in both those arms like jellyfish back and forth, and it really gets those fish really fired up. Another way you can rig it is going to be, if you had an EWG style on here, you could just simply Texas rig it, where you would run it, I'll show you with this hook, where you basically just come through to the bend of your hook, poke it out, turn it around, and then run it back in like so. And obviously I don't have the right hook for that. You need an EWG hook for that, but that is how you would Texas rig it. Most oftentimes I do that with a bigger finesse worm style hook. Trocar makes a great one that I absolutely love, but that would be how I would rig that, and I'll have the hooks and stuff linked down below. But once you put a bigger hook on there, I'll have the sizes too. It makes for a great weedless presentation for that drop shot. Now, if you're a guy that loses a lot of fish on a drop shot, there's a couple different reasons that you're losing those fish. One is if you're breaking them off, you have too stiff of a rod, obviously, and you need to lighten your rod up a little bit. But where I see guys most often go wrong is with the hook set. When I get a bite on a drop shot, I'm not setting the hook like this, because it's more along the lines of an exposed hook. Even when you have it rigged EWG Texas rig style, you can just, if you just reel and lean, that's how you're going to really keep those fish pegged, and that's how you're really going to increase your hookup ratio. The next is a smooth drag system is super, super important. So I run Shimano spinning reels until Arc comes out with theirs and sends me theirs. But that Shimano Nasty is a great one. And then I'll have some other higher priced Shimanos, but they make great drag systems where it's a nice smooth pull. But the key is you want a rod that has a softer tip, at least a softer third. But it depends on how you like to fish. If you're a guy that's real easy, reel sets them, you can get away with a little bit stiffer rod. If you're a guy that sets the hook and it's just hardwired into your DNA, go to a softer rod. That'll help you catch more fish on a drop shot. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully these tips and tricks helped you guys out a little bit, and hopefully you guys catch some more fish out there on the water with a drop shot this winter. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I hope to see you in the next video.